They said he was finished. Too old, too slow, too late. But when the world turned its back on him, Cristiano Ronaldo stepped onto the pitch and did something no one saw coming. One night, one match, one moment that silenced every doubt forever. This is the story of that moment. The rain came down in sheets. The stadium lights blurred through the mist, casting ghostly shadows on the soaked pitch. It was not just another match. It was a match, the one everyone said would define him or break him. Cristiano Ronaldo stood at the halfway line, staring down the length of the field. 32 years old, labeled past his prime. Critics on every network, fans beginning to doubt, whispers growing louder. He's done. He's too old now. Time to pass the torch. But Ronaldo was not listening. His jaw was clenched, his eyes fixed, a storm behind them. This was a quarterfinal of the Champions League. Juventus versus Atletico Madrid. First leg, a disaster. Juventus had lost 2-0. No away goals. A mountain to climb, even for a legend. And now was the second leg. Home turf. All or nothing. He stood alone. Thousands watched, expecting, maybe hoping, for failure. But Cristiano, he was plotting something else. The whistle blew. The match began. And so did the fury. In the 27th minute, a cross came in from Bernardeschi. Ronaldo soared. Not jumped. Soared. Time seemed to slow. His head met the ball with a thunderous crack. 1-0. The stadium erupted. But no smile. No celebration. Just fire in his eyes. Halftime. Still needing 2 more. The pressure mounted. Fans on edge. Commentators tense. Then, in the 49th minute, another ball into the box. Again, Ronaldo rose above them all. A bullet header. 2-0. Aggregate level. But they still needed one more to go through. One more goal. To silence the world. The minutes ticked by. Atletico dug in. Hard tackles. Delays. Frustration building. Then, in the 84th minute, Bernardeschi again. Dribbling into the box. Shoved to the ground. Penalty. The stadium held its breath. Cristiano picked up the ball, placed it on the spot, the weight of the world on his shoulders. He stepped back, just 3 strides, a deep breath. Then, silence shattered by a roar. Goal. 3-0. Hat trick. Juventus ahead. Ronaldo ran to the corner flag, pounding his chest, arms wide, roaring at the heavens. It was more than a goal. More than a win. It was a statement. To the doubters, the critics, the ones who had written his obituary too early. This was the moment that changed everything. He was no longer just a footballer. He was an answer to every insult, a response to every doubt, a symbol of unrelenting will. And that night, under the lights, in the pouring rain, Cristiano Ronaldo reminded the world he was not finished. He was just getting started. The crowd was still screaming. Not cheering, screaming. A mix of disbelief, euphoria, and sheer awe. Ronaldo stood in front of the fans, arms stretched wide, soaking in the moment, soaking in the storm. Not just the rain, but the storm he had created. Behind him, the Atletico players looked stunned, shell-shocked, as if they had seen something supernatural. Even Diego Simeone, the fearless manager, could only stand there, motionless. For a moment, the stadium was no longer a stadium. It was a theater, and Ronaldo, the lead actor, delivering the final act of a show no one would ever forget. The referee blew the final whistle. Juventus 3, Atletico Madrid 0. Aggregate 3-2. Comeback complete. A one-man demolition of a defensive giant. The camera zoomed in on his face. Focused, still burning. He walked off the pitch, head held high. No wild celebration. No taunting. Just calm. Because deep down, he knew this was not just victory. It was vindication. The next morning, every headline said the same thing. Cristiano Ronaldo turns back time. Hat-trick hero destroys doubters. Vintage Ronaldo shocks the world. Social media exploded. Clips of his goals went viral. Fans across the globe watched in disbelief. Legends of the game tweeted tributes. Even his harshest critics were silent, because when the world demanded an answer, Ronaldo gave this. But behind all the noise, few knew what had fueled him that night, because just weeks before, Ronaldo had read the headlines. He had heard the laughter. He had watched former players question his signing. He had even seen some Juventus fans doubt the investment. 30-something years old, biggest salary in the league. And still, he remembered one article. One line burned into his mind. Ronaldo is no longer a player who can change a game on his own. So he circled the date of the second leg. He trained in silence. No interviews. No distractions. Just focus. Obsession. Purpose. He replayed the mistakes from the first leg 1,000 times. He visualized the goals. He rewired his mind. And on that fateful night, he executed. Perfectly. Ruthlessly. That match did more than just send Juventus into the semifinals. It reshaped the entire narrative around his career. It proved something crucial. That greatness is not a number on a birth certificate. It is a decision. A choice to defy expectations. To refuse limits. To embrace pressure when others run from it. And that night, Cristiano Ronaldo stood not as a fading legend, but as a timeless warrior. Years later, fans still talk about that game. Commentators still replay those goals. Even rival fans admit it was one of the greatest individual performances in Champions League history. And when younger players ask what it means to show up when it matters most, that match is shown. Because that moment, that hat-trick under the lights, that was not just about scoring goals. It was about rewriting destiny, one header at a time, one penalty under pressure, one moment that changed everything. But long after the crowd had gone, long after the lights dimmed, and the chants faded into memory, Cristiano sat alone in the dressing room, a towel draped over his shoulders, his boots still muddy from the fight, and in his hands, a photograph. It was worn, folded at the corners, a picture of him as a boy, barefoot, on the streets of Madeira, kicking a ball with torn shoes. He stared at it for a while, as if reminding himself where this all began. It was not talent alone that brought him here. It was hunger, sacrifice, pain, nights of loneliness in a foreign country, tears behind closed doors, doubt crawling in when the spotlight faded. And yet, through it all, he kept coming, kept running, kept rising. Tonight was not an accident. It was a result of decades of obsession, of becoming the man who could silence a stadium, then make it scream. He placed the photo back in his bag, looked up at the mirror in front of him, and whispered, still not finished. The following week, fans and pundits debated endlessly. Was this the greatest Ronaldo moment? Was this the most clutch performance in UCL history? The statistics were impressive, but they told only half the story. Because you cannot measure what Ronaldo carried that night. You cannot calculate the pressure, the eyes watching, the voices waiting to say, I told you so. It was more than a game. It was a declaration, a battle cry from a man who refused to age quietly, a message to every young star aiming for his throne. You are not ready yet. In the months that followed, Juventus rode the wave of that momentum. The dressing room believed, the fans believed, and Cristiano, he trained harder, spoke less, smiled more, because deep down, he knew that night in Turin would live forever. It was a proof that moments, single moments, can define legacies. He had won countless trophies, broken hundreds of records. But this was different, because this moment was not about glory. It was about resistance. It was about fighting back when the world said you could not, about answering doubt with dominance, about reminding the next generation that greatness is earned in pain, in pressure, in silence, and in that fleeting space, when the ball leaves your boot and the world holds its breath. That is where legends are made. That is where Ronaldo lives. Years from now, a child will ask their father, was Ronaldo really that good? And the father will pause, smile, and say, let me show you the night he changed everything. Then they will play the match, the goals, the roar, the rain, and once again. That moment will live forever. The story of that night was not just passed down by fans. It became a blueprint for comebacks, a case study in belief. Clubs began showing it to their players before big matches. Motivational speakers dissected it frame by frame. Documentaries used it as a climax. And even in training academies, coaches whispered to young players, "Play like Ronaldo did that night." Because that night was not about physical skill. It was about something deeper. Mental fire, unbreakable conviction, willpower that refused to kneel. In boardrooms, executives used it to remind teams what persistence looked like. In hospitals, patients watched it to find strength. In schools, teachers played clips to show what excellence under pressure really meant. And to this day, when people speak of Cristiano Ronaldo, they do not just speak of goals, trophies, or speed. They speak of that moment, because it captured everything he ever stood for. The boy from Madeira, who trained when no one was watching, who fought when no one believed, who rose again and again, even when the world said, "Stay down." And somewhere, in a quiet neighborhood in Portugal, there is a small pitch, no stands, no lights, just cracked pavement and rusty goalposts, where a young boy, barefoot, chases a ball against the wind. He stops, looks down at the number on his back. 7. He smiles, because he knows that long before he was born, there was a man who wore this number like armor, who carried not just expectations, but generations, and proved, in one unforgettable moment, that greatness is not just measured by success, but by the courage to rise, when everyone is waiting for you to fall. In the years that followed, that one performance became more than just a game. It became a story passed between generations, in barbershops in Brazil, in football cafes in Morocco, in rooftop gatherings in London. The legend was told and retold, each time with a pause before the climax, each time with someone saying, "Wait until you see what he does next." And each time, he rose again, the leap for the first header, the cold focus for the second, the composure for the penalty, the roar into the night sky. It became ritual. 4 new fans discovering greatness. 4 old fans remembering why they fell in love with football in the first place. And Ronaldo, he never chased the applause. He chased the standard. He became the standard. Every rising star was compared to him. Every performance measured against that night. Because it was not just about 3 goals. It was about a man defying time, defying doubt, and proving that even when your body slows, your spirit does not have to. Sometimes, when he looked back, he did not see the trophies, or the medals, or the golden boots. He saw the people who had said, "You are finished." He is no longer decisive. He is not the same anymore. Those words did not break him. They built him. Because Ronaldo did not play to be liked. He played to be remembered. And that night, when the world was ready to write the final chapter, he ripped the pen away and wrote a masterpiece. And still today, when the Champions League anthem plays, when a team goes down in the first leg, when hope seems lost, commentators always say the same thing. If Ronaldo were here, you would still believe. Because belief is what he gave the world, not through speeches, not through slogans, but through moments. Moments like that night in Turin, moments that freeze in time, where greatness stops being theory and becomes reality. Some players retire and fade. Others are remembered with fondness. But a few, a precious few, become immortal, not because they played longer, but because they rose higher, because they showed us what was possible and forced us to believe again that when the odds are against you, when the critics circle like vultures, when your legs are tired and your name is doubted, you can still rise, you can still answer, just like Cristiano Ronaldo did. In that one moment, the moment that changed everything,